Sometime in 2013, while listening to Weekly Manga Recap, I started to wonder which running gags pop up most frequently on the show. And so I listened to all the podcasts ever made and wrote down all the jokes to know for sure which are the top 5 most popular Weekly Manga Recap running jokes from the very start of the show until August 2016. I stopped counting at that point. Originally, I had planned to make this video at that time, but then, unexpectedly, I moved to another country. So excuse me for the delay. But Farrell, I have no idea what Weekly Manga Recap is. Could you quickly explain it to me? Nope. Number 5. Gakyo Hotai was a manga about courtroom sessions taking place in an elementary school. So, what incredible joke would our dynamic duo come up with for this series?
Why is one not allowed to bring video games to school? And she's like, because it's a place to study. But what about recess and playground equipment? Aren't those also unnecessary? She's like, well, no, recess is refreshing and fun. But you can play card games during recess, but not video games? Well, but, an ideal school ought to have one where an environment where one can concentrate to the max during class. Playing music from Phoenix Wright. This joke was done 16 times. If I counted correctly. Now, does playing a song count as a running gag? I say it does. Next! Number 4! Warning. This joke might contain spoilers for Fairy Tail Chapter 253. And, something, click here to move on to the next entry.
They join hands, but unfortunately the dragon's heart doesn't grow three sizes too big, and instead he just murders the shit out of all of them. He just destroys the island and everyone in it, and they're holding hands, they're singing, they're like, we are Fairy Tail, and they all die.
From this point on, the Apocalypse Dragon became a recurring joke on the show and was brought up 21 times. I guess. Well, the number might not be that high. Perhaps a few times Chris and Nick simply mentioned Apocalypse Dragon, while the true joke is actually the boom.
It's like Mashura riding to Azuki, their fucking pure-ass romance, and then he just looks into the sky and there's a fucking meteorite coming down, and he's like, I knew it! I'm so glad I didn't fuck my girlfriend! And then that's the last panel, the manga ends.
Yeah, I'm with the chat on this one. Apocalypse Dragon, boom!
Number 3! So there's this character in Black Clover who's called Rebecca, and she is not going to be an important character. At least, that's what Chris says.
My little siblings Luca and Marco are gone, and she's very worried about them.
Nick, I just want to let you know, Rebecca will never be an important character, though.
23 times we were reminded of that fact, and this joke still continues on. So here's looking forward to Rebecca remaining to be an unimportant character in the future.
It's okay though, Rebecca will save them all, Ian Chris.
Well, maybe. I don't think she could swim underwater. And if she could, that would mean she's an important character. She's not one of those, so I don't think...
Who's the greatest enemy of the manga podcast? You'd think it'd be the beekeepers, but it's actually the Woodworkers!
Good support from it because he deserves it. But also, I wanted to mention iTunes and our reviews. I try to mention it at the end of it, but I just wanted to bring it up because I went through like the hobby section top podcasts, and we're losing to like 85 different woodworking podcasts. So I need your support, guys. We need you to, if you have iTunes, if you go on, just give us a rate and subscribe.
And that's when the Woodworkers became a thing. There was even an idea for a manga.
I know this is going to sound sacrilegious, but what would a woodworking manga series be like, and what sort of characters would be in it? I would make it a pure comedy series where these woodworkers are just working hard at their craft, but then me and Nick are in the series as like a Boris and Natasha kind of role, like constantly trying to sabotage them, and always failing and ending up like in an explosion or like with nails in our head, like, ow! We'll get them next time, Nick.
43 jokes at the expense of the woodworkers have been made. And that includes just calling them assholes at the end of basically every episode from that point on, which encourages the audience to support the duo in their never-ending battle against the woodworkers. Now, even as a son of a carpenter, I do wish them the best of luck. They're going to definitely need it. Before we get to number 1, a few honorary mentions. And the most popular weekly manga recap joke of all time is... Warning. This joke contains spoilers for Bleach chapter 527 and whatever came after. Here's a button if you want to skip this, but it's basically the end of the video, so whatever. At some point, Unohana was killed in Bleach, and it was such an important moment that Nick made a promise.
Chapter 527, Eliminate from Heaven. What the fuck? Anyway, so yeah, Kenpachi strikes down Unohana, and now, I would like to actually, introduce a wager here. I'm going to treat Unohana's death as, like, a tragic thing that has deeply affected me. And I will continue to do this by honoring her memory each time we talk about Bleach by mentioning that she has died. I will continue to do this until it's revealed she hasn't died, because I'm fairly certain she's going to. And I'm confident that even though we have seen her sword disintegrate, which is supposed to be the ultimate sign of death in Bleach, despite the fact that we've seen it previously before with Byakuya, that she's going to come back.
Like, she isn't dead, or someone's going to bring her back? Okay.
Well,
all right.
It's resurrected.
Fair
Even
enough.
If it's resurrected. I'm going to stop doing that. Basically, because I am that certain. I don't even know what I'm going to be wagering this for. I'm just so certain of it because it's Bleach.
Fair enough. I respect this. I respect this commitment.
And that's how it started.
By the way, we're skipping to Toriko this week because there was no Bleach, which, I mean, who cares? It wouldn't have mattered. Unohana wouldn't have been in it because she's dead and never coming back. Unohana's dead still, everyone. She's never coming back. But you know what? Even if she did come out, you know what she wouldn't do? Bone her son!
There was a few times when Nick forgot to mention it, and someone had to remind him, while misspelling Unohana's name.
Najakoop.
Why don't we start calling her Unohana?
Because she's dead, we don't need to spend that much time on someone who's never coming back.
True.
Someone tweeted us that apparently we forgot it last week.
Yeah, we did. I tried setting you up for it, too.
The joke kept running and running until eventually Nick became skeptical.
So, question here from Molderman. He says, I was just wondering, I know Unohana being dead and never coming back is kind of a running joke by now, but with Bleach seemingly hitting its last couple of fights, for 2 or 3 years now, do you feel like she will pop into the story at some point?
Well, if I'm being completely honest, actually no.
At this point, you're like, she's dead and really not coming back.
I really think that. I'm continuing the promise of saying that basically because it's my penance for being wrong. But that was why I designed it that way in the first place, was because I can do this for humor, and also it'll be my way of acknowledging that I'm wrong the longer that I go on with it until eventually it ends.
The joke was to continue until Bleach would end, and in the meantime, it did give birth to the previously mentioned Rebecca will never be an important character joke.
Happens because Ass is like, oh, see, this is Rebecca from the restaurant. She showed up again, Chris! Ha-ha!
Rebecca.
Next chapter.
Rebecca is not going to be an important character if once a week Nick can remind us that Unohana is dead and never coming back, then once a week I will remind you all that I
Is not
too,
going to be an important character.
that I too can be wrong about things.
Quite frankly, counting the number of times that this joke has been made was the main reason behind creating this video. Even that whole cutoff date I established marks the final chapter of Bleach, the last possible chance for Unohana to come back. And in the end, after 3.5 years of Unohana being dead and never coming back, she was in fact dead and never came back. "109 times! Bleach did end before its time. Well, it ended way past its time, but it did end earlier than its author had wanted to. And so, within the few chapters that he was given to conclude his manga, Unohana did not actually come back. Maybe if Bleach had not been forced to end so quickly, well, quickly in a relative sense, this counter would have gone up even higher. And who knows, maybe Unohana would actually come back. But she didn't. And thus, we end this list with the last and final farewell.
Alright guys, that is going to do it for Weekly Manga Recap. Bleach is dead and never coming back. We'll see you next time here on Weekly Manga Recap. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you everybody for watching this video. I apologize for the rushed nature of it. I just really wanted to have it off my chest and not let this video come out a year late. I also probably should have started everything off with some rules, like how only one mention of a joke per episode counts, or how I'm willing to admit that I have miscounted a few jokes most likely, and then all that other stuff, but I should have mentioned it but didn't, so And if anybody disagrees with this top 5 list, insisting that the duck face joke should have been on here, well, that's cool. Good night, fellas.
Do.
Eating babies.